Good morning students. Today it is lecture 20 under thermal properties of matter. In the last class we have started the modes of transfer of heat. In that we have started, there are three modes of transfer of heat. One is conduction, second one convection, third one radiation. We have learned about the conduction. In that we have learned some of the concepts based on the steady state and also how conduction takes place. What are good conductors of heat, bad conductors of heat, these things we have learned. Finally, we have learned the thermal conductivity. Okay, so this we have learned, and finally we have arrived at the expression where we have shown the expression for thermal conductivity represented by symbol K. Along with SI units, its dimensional formula we have learned. Okay, today let us learn some of the definitions regarding the conduction. After learning these, again let us learn the concept of thermal conductivity with our practical applications as and when we come across in our day-to-day life. Okay, so now let me explain you today the one important concept here. Using temperature gradient also we can define thermal conductivity. So before that I just tell you what is thermal temperature gradient. Okay, so here temperature gradient. Temperature gradient. What do you mean by temperature gradient? Means let us take one substance, that is nothing but the block you can say. So in that there are two phases. So if I explain, this is the one block which is having the two phases. Let me say this is the first phase which is represented by temperature theta 1. Here the temperature is theta 2. Exactly opposite phase have to select the substance in which the opposite phases we are selecting. Whichever the phase you can select, but exactly opposite. So theta 1 and that is theta 2. What we are doing? We are allowing the heat to flow in this. We allow the heat to flow in this. Okay. Now remember here, the distance between them is represented by x. Between the two ends of the faces of the spherical, that is rod you can say, maybe the one substance whatever you have selected, the distance between one end to the other end is taken as x. Okay, so this is theta 1, that is theta 2. And one condition I say here, theta 1 is greater than theta 2. Hope you understood, where always heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. So I have shown the direction here, heat flows from theta 1 to theta 2. It is understood, heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. So very simple way we explain that. As you observe this temperature gradient means, here the distance we have represented here. To observe this, how to explain this means, let me say, let us take different positions, let us take some points and we place some thermometers. As you observe the thermometer, let me write this container, this is the one block you can see. Here at different points I am placing the thermometers here. I am placing the thermometers here. Okay. As you observe from area of, at one end, let me The nearer molecules which are there here gets vibrated with larger amplitude. They disturb the neighboring element. At the same time, molecules like this it continues, and up to the end the heat conducts. This you know the concept of conduction. So if you observe, after some time interval when it attains steady state, you can observe the temperature here is greater, means it is larger because it is nearer to the A end. And this is slightly lesser to this because it is slightly far away from A. It is again slightly lesser, here again slightly lesser. But as you observe from A end, the one at the end position where the temperature decreases, it goes on decreases. But here the temperature is maximum. So as the distance increases, temperature decreases. For this, we represents the temperature gradient is represented by d theta by dx. The one symbol is d theta, a small change in temperature with respect to small change in its distance. But at the same time are represented negative sign. What does the negative sign indicates? Negative sign indicates there is a decrease in temperature as the distance increases. So as the distance goes on increasing, temperature goes on decreasing. This is what you can explain by just looking to this formula. So the decrease in temperature with its distance is called temperature gradient. So the decrease in temperature with respect to distance is called as temperature gradient. Okay. So this is what you can observe here. So decrease in temperature. Decrease in temperature with respect to distance. With respect to distance is called temperature gradient. Okay. Now, what does this negative sign indicates? As the distance negative sign indicates, temperature decreases. Temperature decreases as the distance increases. As the distance increases. So this is what you can remember here. As the distance increases, temperature decreases. So that symbol is minus d theta by small change in the temperature. For this I can write minus d theta by dx is always equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 by x. What do you mean by theta 1? Theta 1 is the temperature at A point, theta 2 is the temperature at B point. So always theta 1 is greater than theta 2, that condition. So I have taken here theta 1 minus theta 2 because heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. Hope you understood what is the one expression for temperature gradient. By just looking to this, you are ready to say the one SI unit. What is SI unit for this? Here remember temperature. Temperature is always measured in, that is degree centigrade in CG system. If it is in the SI system, it is in Kelvin. Here I have written SI unit. So this is Kelvin. Since distance is measured in meters, it is in the denominator. So it is Kelvin per meter. Suppose if you say CGS, when you say CGS unit, at that some degree centigrade per centimeter. This is what you can observe. What is the dimensional formula for this? So dimensional formula, you can say here, it is m to the power of, here no mass in this expression. So m to the power of 0. Distance is there, but it is in the denominator. L to the power of minus 1. The time is not there. So t to the power of 0. What is the one? Temperature. Temperature is expressed in, that is Kelvin, where you can say represented by, that is Kelvin is the SI unit, but the theta is the symbol. So let me write this is theta. So this is how you write the expression for the dimensional formula for temperature gradient. So this is one type of the definition you come across here under this conduction concept. Okay, now by using this, yesterday we have learned the conductivity, where we have learned the formula where it is Q is equal to Ka theta 1 minus theta 2 by, that is into T by X. This will, you know, the expression for the quantity of heat, how it flows in a rectangular, that is rectangular cube you can say. But here using this we have written the one expression for K, where K is equal to Q q into x divided by theta 1 minus theta 2, that is q into x theta 1 minus theta 2 into this is a into t. This you know the formula. Now if you observe this theta 1 minus theta 2 is nothing but called as, you can express them in temperature gradient, because already you know the formula theta 1 minus theta 2 by x is the one temperature gradient. So using this you can say, if the one quantity of heat where you can say you want to explain with respect to thermal conductivity, at that time if temperature gradient theta 1 minus theta 2 by x is equal to 1, nothing but unity, and if A is equal to 1 meter square, then T is equal to 1 second, then you can say K is equal to Q. So how do you define using the one temperature gradient regarding the thermal conductivity? This is called as coefficient of thermal conductivity. So coefficient of thermal conductivity can be defined as the one quantity of heat that flows through a conductor in unit second per unit area of cross section when temperature gradient is kept at unity. But all these explains using the concept of steady state. So whenever you have the one steady state, only you are explaining this. So this condition. So this word should be there in your definition. Steady state. Already you know steady state. Yesterday I have learned 3 factors where whatever the heat supplied is utilized by itself, it is conducted, and third step is it is radiated. So these steps you know. Again if you observe the one temperature, after certain stage what happens, even if you supply the extra temperature, the thermometer does not show any changes, hence it is called as it has attained steady state. This concept you have learned. So using this you can define today the coefficient of thermal conductivity can be defined as the one quantity of heat that flows during the steady state, where steady state across unit area of cross section in unit seconds when temperature gradient is kept unity. So this using this you can explain the steady state will come under that, temperature gradient will come under that. Using all this we are defining the one coefficient of thermal conductivity. So let me write the one expression for K, where K is called as what? Coefficient of thermal conductivity. Okay, thermal conductivity. So let me define this using these 3 factors. That is one steady state, one is temperature gradient. We are explaining this. So coefficient of thermal conductivity can be defined as the quantity of heat, means Q, the quantity of heat flows in a conductor, the quantity of heat flows in a conductor, that is you can say in a conductor during the steady state, when the temperature is during the steady state, this word you are using here, of unit area of cross section, of unit area of cross section in unit time when temperature gradient is unity. So please remember, here I have taken temperature gradient itself is unity, and area of cross section is unit area of cross section, time is unit seconds, unit time interval. So using this unit time, using all this, we are defining the thermal conductivity. So in this you have to remember, if this mentions the steady state, again it mentions the temperature gradient. So these should be there in your definition compulsory when you write coefficient of thermal conductivity. So I will repeat once again, the coefficient of thermal conductivity can be defined as the quantity of heat that flows in a conductor during the steady state of unit area of cross section in unit time when temperature gradient is at Hope you understood today. Again the definition of the one thermal conductivity. Right? Okay. I said yesterday this question is for 5 marks question. You expect in theory. How do you get the question? First step they will ask, what is thermal conductivity? The capacity to conduct heat throughout the substance is called thermal conductivity. Remember, first question they will ask, 5 marks question it is. So, first question, what is thermal conductivity? In this you are answering, the capacity to conduct heat throughout the substance is called thermal conductivity. What is the second point? On what factors does the thermal conductivity depends? So they ask for this question for 2 mark in it. So on what factors? Yesterday I have learned there are 4 factors. Quantity of heat depends on directly proportional to area of cross section. Quantity of heat is directly proportional to temperature rise in minutes. That is nothing but difference in temperature. Quantity of heat is directly proportional to the time of heat flow. And fourth point, quantity of heat is inversely proportional to the one distance. So nothing but you can say the distance between the 2 ends of the conductor, or you can say the thickness of the conductor. Right? So these are the 4 steps that yesterday we have learned. Those 4 factors mentioning that it carries 2 marks. Okay, now it has completed 3 marks. What is the 4th step? They will ask the one question, what is it? They will ask, write its SI unit. Again they will ask, write its dimensional formula. Okay. Finally, they may also include in the question, hence define coefficient of thermal conductivity. If they ask this question, then the factors on what factor does it depends carries 1 mark. So there are, by chance if they ask all these 5 steps, it carries for 5 marks. Separately, if they ask for 2 marks, on what factors the coefficient of thermal conductivity depends, it carries only for 2 marks. At that time, only factors you have to write. Okay. Now, just I'll repeat once again. This is a 5 mark question. If you learn this, it is very useful for both theory question along with for 5 marks question, or maybe sometimes they may ask only for 1 mark, write its dimensional formula or write its SI unit or define coefficient of thermal conductivity. Separately, they may ask for 1 mark questions. By chance, if they do not ask all these questions, they may give one problem based on this. At that time, you need this formula. Using that formula, you will calculate all the steps which are there in that. Using that, finally you arrive at the answer with SI units. So that is useful for even solving problem. So they remember, it's very important question. Okay. Now let me go for the next part of this. We come across one more definition here, that is heat current. Let me say one more definition, heat current. This symbol is H. So, what is this heat current? They may ask this for 1 more question. The heat current, the flow of heat per unit time. The flow of heat per unit time. Remember, the flow of heat per unit time is called heat current. Okay, I'll write the expression now. H is equal to Q by T, and by just looking the flow of heat. Heat is a form of energy, you know already. This is represented by symbol Q. This is T, time is represented by, this is Q by T is called as H. What is H? Heat current. Now, by looking to this, you can write the SI unit. What is its SI unit? You can write it is nothing but it is joules per second, or you can also write it is watt. We are ready to write this or this, both are correct. Joules per second or watt. Now, if you want to write the dimensional formula, remember dimensional formula to write this formula. You can write it as here. This is H is equal to mL square T raised to minus 2. Quantity of heat. Heat is a form of energy. To write the dimensional formula of energy divided by T. Then therefore your formula becomes n to the power of 1 L square T raised to minus 2. So this is the dimensional formula for heat current. So these three steps you remember: the flow of heat, that is quantity of heat per unit time. The flow of heat per unit time is called heat current. Okay. In this, one more question, the one definition you come across here, that is thermal resistance. You come across one more called as the one thermal resistance. So what do you mean by thermal resistance? Here it is defined as the ratio of temperature difference between the ends of the conductor in which the heat flows in it. So the one, it is defined as the ratio of temperature difference to the heat current. Very simple definition. So I will define the one, nothing but the next called as, I will write here itself. That is thermal resistance. Thermal resistance symbol is RH. Very simple definition, where RH is equal to temperature. It is defined as a ratio of temperature difference to the heat current. Already just now we have learned what is heat current. Temperature difference here. I will write the one temperature difference. So when I say temperature difference means you are ready to write in terms of T or in terms of theta, both are correct. If I write in terms of T, I can write T1 minus T2 divided by H, or I can also write RH is equal to delta T by H. You can write like this, delta T by H. So it is defined as the ratio of temperature difference to the heat current is called thermal resistance. So here we expect some objective questions here. So then we will show the remaining steps in this in different forms. This RH is connected to the one coefficient of thermal conductivity. How does it depends and how you explain that? If thermal conductivity increases, what happens to thermal resistance? So using this I will explain you the formula. You please observe here. Just now we have learned here the formula. This is Q. Let me write how to write this one. This is Q is equal to Ka theta 1 minus theta 2 by into T by X. This you know already. Now this I write it as here Q by T is equal to Ka delta T by delta X. I can write like this. So Q by T is equal to Ka delta T by X. You already know Q by T is H, where H is equal to Ka delta T by delta X. You can write like this. Okay. Now I want to write this one delta T by H. I take this to the denominator, this one H. What happens here? This delta X comes here. So at that time I can write delta X by Ka is equal to delta T by H. I can write like this. Delta X by K is equal to delta T by H. So this can be written as where delta T by H is equal to delta X by K. X by K. Suppose if you observe this, what is this X? It is a distance. And now what is area of cross section of that area of the material, whatever you are taking. And this K is a thermal conductivity. How this RH is related to thermal conductivity? Always remember, this one RH is inversely proportional to 1 by K. So by just looking to this, you are ready to say as K increases, the one thermal resistance decreases. As thermal resistance increases, the coefficient of thermal conductivity goes on decreasing. For smaller thermal conductivity, the thermal resistance will be higher because they are inversely proportional to each other. By looking to this, you are also ready to say its SI unit. For this, I will show you how to write the SI unit for I will tell you how to write this. The one thermal resistance. Please observe the SI unit for this, where you know RH is equal to, that is nothing but it is 1 by Ka. Right? This is the one formula you have. Or you can write in terms of delta X by Ka, like this. Okay? You already know the dimensional formula for K. Already in the previous class we have represented this. This is K. So K is dimensional formula. Looking to that, I can show the value for K is equal to Q into X divided by theta 1 minus theta 2 into T. This formula you know already. This is into A. This is the one formula you have. So yesterday we have written, this is the SI unit is joules per second per meter square K to the power of minus 1, or we have written watt per meter. For this I have written watt per meter square, because this meter will get cancelled. Per meter it is per meter per Kelvin. So this is what you know the SI unit for this, for K. This is for K. Right. Also we have written dimensional formula yesterday. K is equal to, here, m L square T raised to minus 2 into L divided by, this is represented by Kelvin, and this is T into L square. L square gets cancelled. So you get K is equal to m to the power of 1, n to the power of 1, T raised to minus 3, K to the power of minus 1. This we have learned yesterday. So using this, if you write for here, when RH is equal to this SI unit, let me write first. How to write X? X is represented by meters. This is K. K is nothing but in terms of, that is, let me write joules per second per meter per Kelvin into meter square. So this 1 meter gets cancelled. 1 m and 1 m will get cancelled here. So both gets cancelled. So this becomes RH is equal to, this will go to numerator, per joule second K to the power of plus 1. Like this you get. Okay. Now using this joules per second is watt. Since it is going to the numerator, we are writing RH is equal to, that is K per watt. What is this K called as? K is nothing but it is Kelvin. Just remember, Kelvin per watt. So this is the one SI unit for this. Just remember, if you remember the one SI unit for K, you can write easily for this. Dimensional formula. Since this is in denominator, so let me write RH is equal to, it is X means nothing but L divided by m to the power of 1, L to the power of 1, T raised to minus 3, K to the power of minus 1, right, into L square. 1 L get cancelled, this L and this gets cancelled, you get RH is equal to m to the power of minus 1, L to the power of 0, T to the power of plus 3, K it is. So you get the one dimensional formula in terms of like this. L already cancelled here, so you will never get L here. M to the power of minus 1, T raised to minus 3. Here now one more, you have got L square for this one. K is correct, T raised to 3 is correct. Dimensional formula for this is X is measured in terms of L, it is, here it is so here K is correct, M, L, T raised to minus 3, K raised to minus 1, M, L, T raised to minus 3, K raised to minus 1. Here area is represented by L square. 1 L get cancelled, this L and this L. Where? L square and L. L will become L square. This comes to numerator. I am very sorry. This remember, here it is. L square is there. This comes to numerator. It is minus 2 t raised to plus 3 k. It is correct now. This is correct. I am very sorry. Now it is m raised to minus 1, l to the power of minus 2, t raised to 3, k raised to the power of 1. So this is what today we have learned. Some of the definitions like heat current, thermal resistance. Along with that, today we have learned one more, temperature gradient. Using all this, today we have learned the definitions, SI unit, dimension formula. So among these, any of the questions will be expected in the one objective questions. You may expect for thermal resistance, how thermal resistance depends on thermal conductivity. At that time, you have to remember this condition, write its SI unit, maybe its dimensional formula, maybe they may ask dimensional formula for this question, or define thermal resistance. You will understand this concept. Okay. Similarly, you come across heat current. Based on that, you expect any of the three questions, maybe its definition, SI unit, or dimensional formula. And also, you know that today we have learned temperature gradient. How you are learn temperature gradient? With the help of temperature gradient, you can also define coefficient of thermal conductivity. Hope you understood all these things, right? And now, one more very important concept I want to explain based on this thermal conductivity. So, before explaining that applications, let me give one chart. By looking to the chart, you are able to remember how this thermal conductivity is useful in our day-to-day life, in our practical applications. In physics, we come across, in every walks of life, we come across some of the applications of this physics. So, how it is useful? Because today we have learned thermal conductivity. So, that thermal conductivity, how it is useful in our day-to-day life. To explain that, now let me write some of the values based on the chart I will give you. By looking to the chart, I will explain some of the applications which you come across in our day-to-day life. You can remember very easily. As and when you come across these questions, you can write in your own by the help of these concepts. Okay. Now let me write one chart based on thermal conductivity for different substances. Based on that, I will explain it. Metals I am writing here. I will write some of the, only few substances I will write. I will never write all, few which are required for us. Silver, which is, here the SI unit is joules per second per meter per Kelvin it is. You already know. This is 406.0. Next comes copper, which is 385. Next is aluminium, which is 205, brass 109, and steel, which is 50, lead 34.7, mercury, which is 8.3. So these I have written for metals. Now let me write some of the things. Non-metals. Non-metals. In this I write few things where you come across the one non-metals in that for substance. Here it is thermal conductivity. Okay. Now in this I am writing the first one. This is ice, which is 1.6. Concrete, it is 1.8. Glass, which is 0.8. Next, brick. Brick, where it is, you have two types of bricks are there. In this I write brick red, which is 0.6. Brick insulating. Brick insulating, in that we have one more type, it is brick, which is insulating type, it is 0.15. And wood, which is 0.12. Wool, it is 0.04. So these are the some non-metal substances. Okay. Now one more I want to write here few things, which is one is gases. In that the one is air. Here we get the value is 0.024. Hydrogen and helium, both are having same value. Okay, right. I have given this. The benefit of this, you can learn some of the examples very easy today. I have given this chart. Looking to this chart, you come across these are for metals. The one metals thermal conductivity is given. For this, it is for non-metals, and these are gases. Okay. Now just remember, in the previous class I said about good conductors of heat. In that we said all, that is good conductors means the substances which allow heat thoroughly throughout is called as good conductors of heat, we say. The substances which do not allow heat throughout is called as bad conductors of heat. Only these definitions we have learned and few examples I gave. But now to explain, if you want to say, if you want to explain, if you need the thermal conductivity where the one it has to, the heat should conduct throughout, at that time we take the help of the one metals. At that time, because the which conducts the heat thoroughly is said to be called all good conductors, we say. At that time we take the help of metals. All metals are good conductors of heat. By chance we do not require any flow of heat in it. At that time, when we go for the concept of bad conductors of heat, where you can give a best examples, non-metals are bad conductors of heat. Okay, even sometimes whenever you are do not require any flow of heat, at that time you take the help of gases also, which are bad conductors of heat. Okay, now let me come across one by one. Now among the metals, you can observe I have written these values in the decreasing order. Here written in the decreasing order. So among these, the one regarding silver, it is 406. What do you mean by 406? For one, that is 1 joule of heat, where it is 406 for 1 degree centigrade rising temperature, 406 joules per second. It is for 1 second, it requires the one with 406 joules of the one heat is there. So it conducts so much amount of heat in it. So here also you can observe for 1 second it conducts 385 joules of heat. Similarly, if you observe the aluminum, it is 205. Again, if you come across the steel, it is 50. If you come across mercury, it is least 8.3. So here you can observe in the decreasing order I have written, and you can observe Because of this, it is a best thermal conductor. It is very best thermal conductor. Nearer to this comes across copper, where it is also the best, but it is nearer to this. You can also select this is also a best conductor of heat, you can say. But when you come across here lesser. So among these you can select these two are the best conductors of heat. But preferably for economical purpose, for commercial purpose, we are not able to use silver regular days. At that time only for the research purpose we select the one silver for thermal conductivity. Wherever you come across research purpose, we take the one silver as the best thermal conductivity. But regular for commercial purpose, economical purpose, you can go for copper. Copper is a good conductor of heat. So for this I can give best example where at home cooking utensils are preferably made up of the one steel and aluminum. We have seen it. But preferably the one iron made materials are not used for the cooking purpose. You have already seen steel, which is there. Here if I take the example of steel, you can observe it is 50. What do you observe? Compared to copper, it is very less. So it is not suitable to cook the one food in the steel. So for this, let me give one example here. If I take the one utensil made up of steel, in that I want to cook the vegetables here. Now I am just hitting from this side down. Let me see the vegetables are at this position, right here. But here you do not, here you want to cook the vegetables. The vegetables are here, but remember at this position you are just giving a heat continuously. What happens? Since it conducts heat, because all metals are good conductors of heat, even steel also conducts heat. There is no problem. But compared to these things, steel which is having less value, so it conducts heat, it will cook. Here the one exactly is about this. But the one vegetables which are here will not be cooked easily because it will never conduct heat here this side continuously. Because of this, what happens? Only this part is heated very fast, but here it has not yet conducted easily as compared to these values. Due to which what happens? It burns. This side it burns. So when you observe the one steel container, if you are just cooking it, only at the center part it cooks the vegetables, but here it is not yet cooked. So what happens? Here it is not conducted. To avoid this, what we are doing? We are continuously stirring with a spoon as and when you are cooking in the one steel utensil, because it has to transmit heat throughout that, due to which we always continuously stir it. Right? This is how you can observe it. When you stir it, what happens? It continuously transmits heat throughout and you can cook the one vegetables easily. So that is what we are doing in steel utensils. Even compared to steel, brass and aluminium are good to cook the one foods. Using brass and steel, you can cook the food, regular foods using the metals like aluminium, and the one cooking utensils made up of brass and aluminium can be used. Okay, but compared to this, you are using the one copper is best. You can cook the one food in the copper vessels, but as and when you cook the one, you can cook it very fast. But remember what happens there, when you cook with the copper vessel, what happens? It transmits heat throughout. You should use it to which it will be, that is nothing but heat is conducted throughout. You can cook it very fast compared to steel. But this is made up of copper, I said, right? But this is made up of steel. So this is what the one difference you are observing here. It transmits heat, you can cook it very fast, and also the one vegetables will cook very easily without any difficulty, right? But when you are cooking with the one copper vessel, what happens? There the one it will be, whenever it is in contact with an acid, it will produces the one sulfates as well as chlorides. These sulfates, that is the copper sulfate, chlorides will form, and they are always poisonous to the health. due to which we avoid the one cooking the foods in copper vessels. To avoid this, because it becomes poisonous after cooking it becomes poisonous. Whenever there is a contact with the one acid, naturally you get it, because it becomes copper sulfate as well as chlorides. You can observe these are not the one good for our health, right? But to avoid this, what we are doing, so we take this copper one along with the nickels, we mix it with one layer of the one vessels, due to which if you have already steel here, this steel, it is mixed with some nickel and at the same time it is prepared like this, and at the bottom of this one steel vessel, it is one layer taken as copper. It will never be in contact with the food, only this vessel will be there. This is the one vessel, but the bottom layer, it is one layer it is taken with copper, due to which that is copper bottom vessel we say. So preferably we take the one copper bottom vessel, due to which it cooks very fast. So nowadays you can observe everywhere the copper bottom vessels are useful to cook the one food easily and very fast. But that will never make us the poisonous for our food, because we are not making that food in contact with this. We are making the outer layer with the one steel vessels, due to which that will be cooking fast, due to which the steel vessel, which is also one, it is mixed with the nickel, due to which it will also cook very fast. So nowadays we prefer to use copper bottom vessels. Okay, so this is how we can observe the one copper bottom vessels. One more point. If you observe aluminium and silver, that is aluminium and brass utensils are also preferred to cook the one foods. Okay. At the same time, you might have seen nowadays the pressure cooker handles, maybe the one coffee kettles, tea kettles are always, their handles are made up of wood. You have seen here wood. Wood is a bad connector of it. So to avoid the one burning of the one sensation, burning of your hands, we always prefer to use some handles for pressure cookers as well as for the coffee kettles, preferred with wood and some ebonites. They are the bad connectors of it, due to which you can handle the utensils very easily, comfortably, without any difficulty. At the same time, where it will never harm, it is not harmful to your hands. Therefore, we prefer to use handles with wood. So this is where wood is a bad connector of it. It will never make us the one to conduct heat, due to which you can easily handle the utensils made up of these wood handles, or maybe sometimes ebonite handles. Okay, so this is one part you can observe. One more part you can observe here, using non-metals. Today you are observing, you are constructing the houses using bricks. So when you are using bricks means, in that we have two types of bricks are there. One is insulating bricks, another is red bricks. When you construct your house using the bricks, what happens? Due to which, there you already know the one which is at highest value, 0.15 value, where the thermal conductivity, due to which the one house which is constructed using bricks, what happens? It will never allow the heat to conduct into the house. Or sometimes whatever the heat is there in it, that will never allow the heat to go out of it. Due to which, it is comfortable to construct the house with bricks. Due to which the one house which is constructed using bricks, which is having thermal conductivity, for 1 second it conducts only 0.15 joules of heat, due to which this is preferred to construct the one houses where particularly for cold storages, because the brick is a bad conductor of heat. It will never allow the heat to conduct into the house, or maybe it will never allow the heat which is inside the house will never go out of it, due to which you can store the house which are constructed with bricks, where preferably they are used for cold storages. Okay. If you come across the one concrete houses, if you are constructing the concrete houses, where you can observe, where it is having more value compared to this, the conductivity is nothing but here it is 1.8, where compared to this brick, where it is not a good conductor, it is a bad conductor of heat it is, due to which where in concrete summer you preferably say that is it conducts more heat, due to which where you can say compared to brick houses, this concrete houses where it conducts heat very easily, hence you feel very hot in the one summer. During summer these concrete houses will feel very hot. This is how you can observe here by looking to this concrete, that is value where thermal conductivity for 1 second 1.8 joules of heat is transmitted in it. Hence you can say concrete houses are very hot. Okay, right. One more point. I want to say one more point here. If you want to construct the one air conditions houses. So air conditions houses means you will construct the house with doubled walls. Usually we prefer to use doubled walls houses. When you want to doubled wall houses are constructed preferably for air conditions houses. Whenever you want to construct a house with air conditioned houses, we prefer to use double walls. When you are preferring double walls, in between we are filling some air gap. But their air gap does not cost more here, so due to which we fill air in it. Hence this air, which is nothing but you can say, where air is a bad conductor of heat, where it is having only 0.024 joules for 1 second. That is 1 second, this much amount of heat is conducted here, due to which we prefer to use the one air in between the two walls. Hence it will never allow the heat to conduct into it or from outside. Hence we prefer to use the one doubled walls which are made up of gap in between. We are filling the air gap. Hence it is preferred to conduct the one construct for the one you can say air conditions houses. Okay, this is the one point you can remember here. One more point. We preferably during the one winter season we prefer to use woolen sweaters. Wool is a bad conductor of heat, you know already, because wool is a bad conductor of heat, its value is very less. But when you want to have something but we prevent from cold, but remember you should not say that we are having cold in us. That is not having cold, it is totally wrong in physics. Remember, always whatever the heat which is already we are losing, that we say we feel cold. But when you are losing the one heat, you are feeling cold means, remember at that time, suppose a human body which is having 37 degrees centigrade, normal temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. So at that time, we prefer to use woolen sweaters. When we are using woolen sweaters made up of wool, in between the woolen sweater will be having small pores. There will be having small pores, due to which, so preferably for different layers, maybe thickness, whatever the thickness you require, you can use it. But preferably wool is a bad conductor of heat. Second point, there will be a small pores in it. Through the small pores, air will be entering into it. Air is also a bad conductor of heat. So wool is a bad conductor of heat. Outside temperature is very cold, which is 0 degrees centigrade, and this will prevent the one heat, and therefore you can say it will never allow the heat to move from this side to this side. It will keep as it is, so you feel warm to wear the woolen sweaters during winter season, because you already know heat always flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. Body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. It will never move towards the 0 degree, because in between we have the one woolen sweater. Wool is a bad conductor of heat. Similarly, that woolen sweater will be having small pores, and that's through the small pores air will be entering into it, due to which air is a bad conductor of heat. Then the no amount of heat will be entering outside. It will keep us warm to wear the woolen clothes. Similarly, during winter season, you can observe we always prefer to keep the ice in a gunny bags. Gunny bags are nothing but they are bad conductors of heat. But in a gunny bag there are small pores will be there, due to which the one air is a bad conductor of heat. First of all, gunny bags are made up of many pores. Air is a bad conductor of heat. At the same time, gunny bag is a bad conductor of heat. Hence, it will never melt ice during summer as early as possible. It will store for longer hours, because many times we keep ice in refrigerator. But when in any of the stalls, maybe the juice center stalls, they use very big ice cubes, but that should be maintained because for longer hours they always close with gunny bags, or sometimes they are also close with blankets. So woolen blankets you can use, that prevents melting of ice. Okay, at the same time we have used at home the one refrigerator. That refrigerator, which is the one thick wall refrigerator will be there, which is of 8 centimeter thick wall, due to which it is made up of fiber glass. You already know glass, it is also a bad connector of it. So preferably fiber glass will be, shiny surface will be there, due to which the one heat will never enter into the one refrigerator, or it will never go from the inside the refrigerator to outside. Hence it maintains cool inside the refrigerator. Hence we prefer the one outer part of the one refrigerator doors side is coated with fiber glass with a shiny surface. Hence it prevents the heat which is entering into the refrigerator from inside to outside. Also I can give one more example, thermos flask. You have seen thermos flask to store milk, hot milk or hot coffee. At that time what we do, a double walled thermos flask will be there. Between the two double walled, one vacuum is filled in it. Vacuum is a bad conductor of heat, and double walled, due to which it will never allow the heat from outside to enter into the flask, or from inside the flask to the outside. It will maintain the heat as much as time you require, nearly 6 to 8 hours you can maintain it very comfortably by using double walled the one thermos flask. Also you have observed outside the one thermos flask, it is having a shiny surface that prevents the radiation of heat, that can be observed here. So a good thermos flask is the best example for conduction, convection and radiation. So the outer surface, which is the shiny surface, it prevents radiation. Because of double walled, it will never conduct from inside to outside, and convection process will be taken place inside, that will be staying inside itself, it will never come out of it, due to which you can say a thermos flask is a good example where you can store hot coffee or hot milk for longer period, nearly 6 to 8 hours. So as many as applications are there in our day-to-day life, but I have given only few examples. Hope you understand it much better by knowing these values, how the thermal conductivity plays a very important role in our day-to-day life practical applications. Let me stop today. We have learned many things today. Some more formulas are there. I'll just highlight the thermal conductivity formulas to solve problems in our next coming classes. Because you will expect one fiber problem, I'll give some suitable formulas. As and when you come across objective type questions, you can use it. And let us go. This completes the thermal conductivity regarding theory concept. I'll solve some of the formulas in the next class along with the problems, and let us go for conductivity.